offered the resolution, which was distributed in advance.
A resolution offered by Chairman Elijah Cummings.
Without objection, the resolution is considered read and open to amendment at any point. The chair recognizes himself to offer an amendment in the nature of a substitute. Copies of the amendment have been distributed in advance. I yield myself now 5 minutes for an opening statement. First of all, good morning. We are considering a resolution relating to the security clearance process at the White House. A process that is supposed to protect our nation's most closely guarded secrets. Not only our nation's most closely guarded secrets, but closely guarded secrets that affect the world. This resolution would authorize me to issue a subpoena for the testimony of Mr. Carl Klein, who served as White House Personnel Security Director under the Trump administration. Yesterday, I sent a memo to all committee members providing information from a detailed on-the-record interview with a whistleblower, a brave whistleblower, I might add, who currently works in the White House. This brave young lady, the whistleblower, Tricia Newbold, came forward at great personal risk to warn the Congress and the nation about the grave security risks she has been witnessing firsthand over the past 2 years. And she said during her interview with the committee staff, and I quote, and listen up, this is what she said: I would not be doing a service to myself, my country, or my children if I sat back knowing that the issues that we have could have impact on national security, end of quote. Ms. Newbold has worked as a dedicated employee at the White House under both Republican and Democratic administrations for 18 long years, giving her blood, sweat, and tears to make sure that the security clearance process works properly. She has informed the committee that during the Trump administration, she and other career officials adjudicated denials of dozens of applications for security clearances that were later overturned. As a result, she warned that security clearance applications for the White House officials, quote, were not always adjudicated in the best interest of national security, end of quote. She raised her concerns inside the White House. Inside the White House. And they targeted her for retaliation. Yet, despite these risks, she has agreed to identify herself publicly at this time because she strongly believes that the Congress must intervene immediately to safeguard our national security. In fact, she implored the committee to act now, warning that, and I quote, this is my last hope to really bring the integrity back into our office, end of quote. I just want to emphasize that point. She came forward because the system at the White House is so dysfunctional that she believes that Congress needs to intervene. In other words, she's crying out. She's begging us to do something because she simply wants her government to work the way it's supposed to work. She gets it after 18 years. Ms. Dubose came forward out of concern for her country and national security. And she called on us to act, to do our jobs. She just said, just do your job. We do our job. She's done hers to conduct credible, independent oversight. Now, with respect to Mr. Klein, we first asked the White House to could we interview Mr. Klein back in January, along with everyone else in the security clearance office. You know what they said? No. Then the committee sent a letter directly to Mr. Klein in February. He responded. He never responded. Zilch. Then the committee sent a third letter in March explaining to Mr. Klein that if he did not respond, our next step was going to be a compulsory process. He never responded to that letter. In addition, on March 1st, more than a month ago, I wrote to the White House counsel yet again, and I warned them explicitly that this was the, quote, final time, end of quote, that I was going to ask for voluntary compliance. They still refused. To this day, they have not produced a single piece of paper or a single requested witness to this committee. It was not until yesterday, keep in mind, we started in January. It was not until yesterday, after the whistleblower's claims were made public, and less than 24 hours before today's subpoena vote, that we finally received last-minute letters from Mr. Klein's lawyer and the White House saying that he would voluntarily comply. But, and there is a big but here, but there's a catch. He will come in voluntarily, but he will not answer any of our questions about specific officials, about specific security violations, or about specific security clearance adjudications. Instead, he will only talk about general policies. This is clearly not sufficient, and he knows that. And so I strongly urge my colleagues to support this subpoena. The White House needs to understand that they cannot stonewall and stall this committee for months and then just offer us a general information about their policies, not when there's such serious allegations of a risk to national security. To my colleagues, I ask that you read the memo and read it carefully. In fact, I urge you to read Mr. Jordan's memo carefully, too, because it makes a very good case for this committee's need to see Mr. Klein and have him come in and answer all of our questions. And let me be clear. Over and over again, I hear these comments about, oh, they're just trying to embarrass the president. No, that is not true. What we're trying to do is protect our secrets. We're trying to make sure we have a process that works. And we have spent, for you who are new here, we've spent a long time over the last session dealing with clearances and information, classified information, trying to make sure it never gets into the hands of the people who it should not be in the hands of. So, again, Ms. Dubose has come forward. She said, please, you got a lady in there in the White House who is begging us to just do our job. And I beg for the same thing. With that, I yield to the distinguished, I yield to the distinguished gentleman, Mr. Jordan, for his opening. Please say.